Vasishta continued, O Rama, a man riding the merry-go-round sees the world whirling in the opposite direction. Even so, man whirling on the wheel of ignorance thinks that the world and the body are revolving. I think this just means that the person whirling on the wheel of ignorance thinks that there are such things as body and world going about their business. The spiritual hero, however, should reject this. This body is the product of thoughts and notions entertained by an ignorant mind. The creation of ignorance is false. So the body is created by ignorance, and so it's got no truth. Hence, even if the body seems to be active in doing all kinds of actions, it is still unreal, even as the imaginary snake in the rope is forever unreal. What is done by an inert object is not done by it. Though appearing to do, the body does nothing. The inert body does not entertain any desire to motivate its actions, and the self, which is the infinite consciousness, has no such desire either. Hence there is in truth no doer of action, but only the witnessing intelligence. So the body's matter. And just as we see in a corpse, it's not doing anything. It needs to have some kind of life principle, if you like. So the body, the corpse, the body as matter does not have any desires. And neither does the awareness that it arises in. So there's actually no motivating factor to do anything. There's only awareness within which everything arises. This is the witnessing intelligence. Even as a lamp in a windless place shines spontaneously and naturally, being a lamp, thus should one remain the self in all conditions. Even as the sun, resting always in himself and in his own essential nature, constantly engages himself in the affairs of the day. You too, resting in your own self, engage yourself in the affairs of the state. So you're not trying to be other than what you are. By being yourself, everything is achieved. The sun isn't doing anything except following its own nature. Once the deluded notion that this false body is a reality has arisen, then, like a ghost imagined by a little boy, there arises the goblin of ego sense, or the mind. And this is what starts giving us ideas about ourselves, notions that we need to pursue, notions about ourselves that we need to pursue. This false mind, or ego sense, then roars aloud in such a way that even great men, frightened by it, withdraw themselves in deep meditation. So this is like the traditional yogi. He who, however, lays the ghost known as the mind, or ego sense, in the body, dwells without fear in the void known as the world. So we've got this ghost in the machine, haven't we? This notion of the mind, or ego sense, in the body. It is strange that even now people live considering the self to be the body, created by the illusory ghost known as the mind. Well, in Western thought it's the other way around. It's usually seen as the body comes first and creates the mind, which is even more ridiculous, because clearly it's the mind that creates this story of how it came to be. They who die while they are yet in the grip of the ghost known as the mind, their intelligence is ignorance. He who trusts in the house haunted by the ghost known as mind, and lives in it as a goblin, he is indeed deluded, for that house, the body, is impermanent and unstable. Hence, O Ram, give up this subservience to the ghost known as ego sense, and rest in the self without bestowing a second thought on the ego sense. They who are under the evil influence of the ghost known as ego sense are deluded, and in fact they have neither friends nor relatives. A deed done with the intelligence overpowered by the ego sense is poisonous, and it yields the fruit of death. The, the fool who is devoid of wisdom and courage, and who is wedded to the ego sense, is already dead. He is like the firewood, ready to be consigned into the fire known as hell. Let this ghost known as ego sense rest in or depart from the body. Do not let your mind even look at it or run. By looking at it, we get fascinated by it, we get enamored by it, the attention, the awareness gets sucked into it and starts identifying with it. It's like a non-living state, because we're living in an illusion. It's like the person driven by the mirage, motivated by the mirage. You sometimes see some people who dedicate their life maybe to their smoking habit. They go out and get a job because they have to smoke, or they want to buy a car. Is that what their life's about? We can all spend our lives or choose what to pursue in our life, but some people seem to settle for very, very little. It's like they're in a trance. And it might seem a bit strong to describe them as dead, consigned to the fire known as hell. But they've given up so much. They've made some extremely limited choices. But it does require courage. It describes the fool here as devoid of wisdom and courage, because a lot of the reasons people pursue very limited notions, I think, is because of an instinctive sense that there's nothing there. There's nothing underneath it all, and they don't want to look. They don't want to look into that nothingness. They don't want to look into the nothingness which is at the heart of their own ego, because it's absolutely terrifying. But once you look, it's not terrifying at all. It's liberating. So it does take that courage. It does take courage to turn around and look at that, and to realize that you're already dead, because all your notions about who you are and what life's about have no reality. They're stories. Your notions are stories which we keep telling ourselves again and again for consolation and for a sense of security. But there's no wisdom in security.